Welcome to Trendy Words, the podcast about the meaningless, misleading, and nonsense words we use in business marketing and what we can do to rehabilitate them. My name is Andrew, copywriter and just a little gremlin, and our phrase for this episode is personal brand. I'm joined today by my guest, Jo Watson. Hi, Jo.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. I think I've been following you for a little while now, and you have a reputation of being particularly memorable, I feel, especially within the copywriting sphere.
What a wonderful way of saying people find you quite annoying, Jo. A reputation for being memorable. I'm having that. I'll take it.
I have no one that's ever heard that's complained about you, but tons of people that were being like, do you follow Jo Watson on LinkedIn? Do you follow Jo Watson on LinkedIn? That has come up more than once. I want to remind you before I think I originally connected with you.
Oh, that is lovely to hear. That's definitely a confidence boost I am happy to take right now. So thank you very much. That's very kind. And whoever said it to you, thank you.
No worries. So for those of you that don't follow Jo Watson on LinkedIn, maybe you'd like to share a little bit of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so if you were to go and find me on LinkedIn, which is where I tend to hang out because it's pretty much the best place for copywriters to be. It's a free platform for us to show our wares, so to speak. If you were to go on there, you wouldn't just type in Jo Watson. You would have to type in the incredibly twattish letters that are after my name. Don't ask me what they are off the top of my head. But I use these to differentiate between myself and the fact that there's another copywriter called Jo Watson. So that gets very confusing. Now, rather than use my personal brand to separate myself, I just had to put the letters on that I got when I became a chartered manager. I was very, very proud of getting them, Andrew. So yeah, you're looking out for me on the Jo Watson series of 8 or so letters in brackets. And then, you'll just see me posting whatever's in my head, really, whether that's about writing or just about life itself. And most of the time, Andrew, I'm just trying to have a bit of a laugh on there, trying to make people giggle or see the idiocy or lunacy in everyday life, because there's a lot of it out there for people to see, I think. So I like to pass commentary on it where I can.
Yeah, it was excellent. In fact, you reminded me of a sticker that a designer friend of mine just gave me just today. I don't know if I have it around here, but it reads, because this will also be on audio, it's like in a comic format from like the 1990s, and the speech reads, "What a stupid time to be alive."
Well, yes.
And I think that really just captures the mood that we're going for around here on this podcast.
I think it does. Yeah, it is a ridiculous time to be alive. And I think as writers, as creatives, and as weirdos, which we were already discussing before we pressed record, Andrew, we have to embrace it, don't we? And we have to just make sure we have that commentary on it, because that's our skill. And I think the people who do see things as ridiculous, they want people like you and I to just, share our take on things and to remind them that there is some sanity out there somewhere.
It's reassuring to know. So, to start things off, Jo, why are personal brands so ridiculous?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say I cannot believe that you've got this many episodes into your wonderful podcast and nobody has suggested it yet. I can't believe it. When you asked me, this had to be top of the list. Personal brand, it means absolutely nothing. And the really ridiculous thing for me about people who use that phrase is that they only ever use the phrase personal brand in non-personal settings. And what I mean by that is they don't go to Tesco or down the pub or catch up with friends and talk about personal brand. They will only talk about it when they are trying to sell something in a professional context. And that, for me, there's just some massive kind of disconnect there, because you're going all in on selling yourself, and you think, yeah, but people did that just by being decent human beings and having something of a personality or something people could connect with or resonate with, without having to go around and announce, this is my personal brand. It seems utterly useless. And I would say I don't know where it came from, but I think I do. I have a theory.
I
And
feel like that's a rabbit hole of the internet that we could easily get down into, being like, where did this come from? Things like, what was the word that we'd had it on a couple of episodes ago, where I found out that we hadn't been using it since before 2008. I will put that in the show notes, but it was something like realizing that I think maybe it was when we started talking about content. That
yeah,
might have been that episode where we didn't used to do that, but around like the mid 2000s is when we started talking about things in that way. That was my episode that I did with Ed Callow,
I love
and
and
it's completely emptied it of meaning, and realizing that, like, we treat it like everyone does it at a time, but it really wasn't that long ago that we didn't twist, it feels like, the human language for internal marketing jargon in quite the way that we've managed to achieve in the last 15 years.
yeah. I agree. It's just devoid of all meaning. I think though with content, it probably had meaning and it's lost it. Whereas I'd argue with personal brand, it's never had meaning at all.
Mm,
And I think it's come from when people used to say you are more than just your job title. Now
mm,
I get that. I do get that we don't want to be just a job title. No one wants to go to the grave, ideally when it's their time, and have I don't want to have copywriter written on my gravestone. I don't.
yeah.
But I don't see the harm in telling people that's what I do, because if someone's looking for a copywriter and I'm here to be paid as a copywriter, it probably helps if I put my hand up and say, yeah, I'm a copywriter. But some coach somewhere said, no, you are more than just your job title. They've tried to empower everyone. And so people have gone so far the other way and decided, no, I'm my own brand. I'm my own personal brand. And you think, no, you're not. You are just a human being with things about you.
Mm,
And people will often say their personal brand helps them stand out. It doesn't. It doesn't at all, because people will say, "Oh, I'm covered in tattoos. That's my personal brand." It's not, because so many people are covered in tattoos, or
mm.
so many people have massive glasses. And I say that because a lot of copywriters tend to have massive glasses. I feel a little bit left out. You and I are the only two in the world right now that I can think of that don't have massive glasses, unless you're going to whip a pair out in a second,
I,
Andrew. And
I am actually nearsighted, but I wear contact lenses most of the time. There's a little fun fact, but that is not part of my personal brand. I
well,
don't
there's
sell myself on that.
but it just seems very, if you ask someone to describe their personal brand, they will just tell you stuff about them, and it's not making them stand out. It's just listing things about them. So therefore it seems redundant. They're just traits. And as I say, if you're in a personal context, like you're with your friends or you're with your family, they wouldn't describe you as your personal brand, would they? They'd just say, oh yeah, Jo, she's a bit sweary, likes to have a giggle, she's very northern, has a cat. God forbid, that they're saying, oh, this is her personal brand. No, it's not that. I've not got the cat to make me more saleable to people, or to make me stand out. It's just who I am, and how my life is evolving. Yeah, the more I think about it, this whole personal brand thing, it's not just trendy, it's bloody annoying. Andrew, it really is.
And there's an element within that I think that you're sort of touching on, which is the other thing, is that inevitably the personal brand is also a sanitized version of yourself.
Of course it is.
So while, yeah, there's this sort of like this talking about, well, it's just myself, but on the other hand, it isn't really. It's the version of you that's been sanitized in a way that allows you, that makes you conform to what you think is expected of you. Like, in the sense that calling yourself a copywriter is a form of sanitization by narrowing the definition of who you are to your work function.
Yes, yeah, and this is true, and it's very much sanitized. I think you've used a great word to describe it there. It's very polished. It's put together. It's a bit like, and I apologize to any of your listeners who are thinking, why does this girl keep taking things towards funerals and gravestones? But I am going to go there again. Whenever you go to a funeral, and I hope to God you haven't had to have gone to many, and I hope you never have to go to any in the future. They're not generally the most fun of hangouts. But people always get up, don't they? And they say, "Oh, it's sad to say goodbye to David. today. He was a wonderful man, always had time for everyone, never said a bad word about anybody, wouldn't hurt a fly. And you're sitting there thinking, this gets rolled out at every single funeral. It's only the name that changes. Everyone says all the good things. And I get that because we're celebrating the life and it's wrong to speak ill of the dead.
Yeah.
But it's very sanitized, isn't it? It's that eulogy. It's that very, oh no, we'll forget about the fact that David was a complete dick most of the time he was alive, because that doesn't sell as well, does it?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it is
Here's John. He was a bit of a twat, but we liked him anyways.
we liked him anyway. He was fine. Never left the house. It was impossible to get him to come for a pint with you. And to be honest, we were going to cut him out anyway. But yeah, to John, everybody. But yeah, it is. It's sanitized. It's polished. And I don't like that, because if it was true about this is who you are, this is everything I am, then we should get the bad stuff as well. And I don't mean the bad stuff that we spin into the good, where people go, oh, I just care too much about people. It's my
Mm.
biggest fault. And you think, no, your biggest fault's probably something like you never pay back loans. But you're not going to say that to people, are you? Or you never pay your suppliers on time,
Yeah,
or
yeah. I'm definitely certain that there's some people that I went to university with who, if I were doing their eulogy, being like, they never paid back any money you ever lent them. And it was always a rite of passage of learning to be with that person that you never lent them anything.
yeah. And you know what? Would you ever do that? Would you ever do that, Andrew? Would you say what you thought at a funeral?
I
I think I would,
I think I would, but I feel like anybody that was brave enough to ask me to do a eulogy would already know that they had to be careful that I would be brutally honest. Um,
I think I've done two in my life. I've done two eulogies. I would say the person asked me to do it themselves. Obviously they didn't. They're dead. But
mm,
the people closest to them trusted me with it. And I was brutally honest with them. And I remember I made a joke that it was kind of poor taste. I made it at my granddad's funeral, because I always used to say to him, what are you leaving me in the will? And so I opened the eulogy with, well, I guess now I find out the answer to the question, don't I? So every cloud. And half of the church laughed. The other half didn't. And someone came over to me after the service and said, that was really inappropriate to say about your granddad. At which point 4 or 5 other people came over and said, well, you didn't know her granddad then, did you?
mm.
Because he would have loved that. He would have laughed. And yeah,
Yeah,
all
and
for
this is I also think something that I think it just gets missed with branding overall, not just personal brand, but about being able to embrace and realize that the things that often make both people and businesses memorable aren't the fact that everything is always perfect and polished, but it's often the things that are left out, or the things that the company says, this isn't really important to us. But
Yeah.
God forbid that you say no to anybody.
Yeah. Ex
God forbid that you say, no, this isn't the right kind of customer for us, or this isn't the right path, or anything that makes you, yeah, makes you stand out in a way that's not even necessarily negative in terms of taste, but
Mhm.
just sort of negative in terms of framing.
Yeah, of course. No,
Um,
we don't like that, do we? Don't upset anyone, don't say anything negative, or well, that's not life, is it? That's not very personal, is it? To just wash off the bits that you feel might cause a problem.
yeah, and nobody believes it when they say it's like we deliver a seamless customer experience, because we all know that that's absolute bullshit.
Of course it is.
There's something is going to go wrong. We'll just need to discover on our own what that actually is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when it
Mm.
happens to us. I saw something. Have you seen the two guys? I think they're Australian. Is it called Wankonomics? I don't know if you've seen those two guys.
Did you post? Somebody posted something about that very recently,
Don't
and it was something
you?
being like, "There's a swear word in this, and therefore I can't put it on LinkedIn because then the algorithm will hate me."
Oh, they
Something to that effect.
people love to say how much the algorithm hates them, like the algorithm cares about any of us at all. People are saying at the moment, I'm being silenced. I'm not allowed to say this. And you're like, there is no one there who is sitting there and taking such an interest in you and your life that they go, I'm going to sit in my LinkedIn head office and personally strangle your reach. They're not doing it at all. So I always laugh when people say, oh, the algorithm's against me. It's not working for me. It just is what it is. But no, it wouldn't have been me posting about the wankonomics, because I'd have just posted it, swear words and all. And what will be will be. If it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. If someone reports me, they report me. I'll deal with it. I'm big enough and ugly enough to deal with that. But with the wankonomics thing, I saw a reel of it. I think it was on Facebook or TikTok or something. And they said about meaningless vision statements. And well, first of all, they made the joke about, most company meetings should be about what the hell is the difference between a vision statement and a mission statement. And in all my years as a copywriter, I can't tell the difference, Andrew. I really can't. But they said how every company says the same thing. They all say our clients are at the heart of what we do. And then they literally they put it up on a big screen, all the companies who do it. It was like BA, McDonald's, all of them, they're all on there saying the same things. And you just think you shouldn't have to say those things. You should just be who you are. Don't tell me you deliver fantastic customer service. Just deliver good customer service, and that will be enough for me. I'm happy.
Yeah. So to talk about how we can rehabilitate personal brands, we're joined by Barry the cat.
He is the brains behind the business. He really is. It's so on brand for him to be here when I'm on some kind of Zoom or podcast or call. It really is. He's everything to do with my personal brand. I am my cat. He is me.
But on the other hand, he doesn't have a personal brand. And I feel like he's kind of getting at the message that you're after, which is don't try to do anything. Just, be yourself. Barry can't be anything other than himself.
He is nothing if not himself. I think he's proof that if personal brand does work, then being incredibly moody and silent and a bit of a dick is the way to go. It really is. Especially, not least, considering this is the second time you've had to hit record, Andrew, because of course 10 seconds in, I start coughing because I start inhaling his fur, and as usual, he ruins fucking everything. So
maybe one day I'll do a blooper reel, and I'll leave that in for that.
Please do. Please do. God, it was just so glamorous, wasn't it? The eyes watering. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. But the good balance, the bad balanced out with the good about being cute and fluffy.
You are cute and fluffy. You really are. You really. But again, I would imagine that there might be some people who might talk about me, and they might actually mention Barry, because he is on every call I do. So like a lot of my work now, it isn't so much writing, it's about collaboration calls where I work actively with people on calls and we get things done for their copy, the content and their comms. And Barry is nearly always here. And in fact, repeat customers, return customers come back and say, where is he? They expect him to be here. They seem disappointed when he's not, and they're just stuck with me. And so you might get people who say, oh yeah, Jo's the one, she's got the cats, that's brilliant. I love that they associate it and there's that thing about me. But by God, I'm not having it that this is my personal brand. I'm just a copywriter. I'm fine with that. It's, by all means, tell people things about me. It's not a personal brand. It's just who I am.
Right. And because nobody after the call being like, I really liked the points that Barry made during that call.
It's more about the looks he gives than the points he makes. It's seriously, I have had clients where they've suggested something and then they've gone, oh, no, that was a terrible idea. And I've said, no, go on, it's fine, let's go with it. And they've gone, no, the cat's just looked straight through me. It's not a good idea. I was like, right, if you believe on some level he is judging you for this, then so be it. But I think it was a great idea, but no, they'll always side with the cat. Apparently he does know more than me, so I just have to go with that, I'm afraid.
For those of you listening without video, the benefit is the cat is currently staring at the camera sort of downward and kind of sleepily, and mostly just seems to be there so that he can be pet.
He is. He's just here so that everybody bloody knows he is here. And for that reason, I think he would be very successful on LinkedIn because there are so many wannabe influencers on there who are just there to be there. They've got nothing to share, they've got nothing to say, they don't do anything at all, but you see them all the fucking time. They're
Mm,
always on there, they're always around, and they're always just, showing people, yeah, I'm here. And I'm like, yes, what do you do?
mm.
How can we pay you? Not that I ever will.
Why does the algorithm keep rewarding you by putting you in my feed?
Exactly.
Even when
Why
I
is it
keep
rewarding
saying not
you?
interested,
Yeah.
please.
Why is it rewarding you and punishing me by showing you to me at all times? But
Yeah,
yeah, for those reasons, I do think Barry would be very successful on there. He'd have quite the career, I
yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, absolutely. So, on the subject of more human people, if you were perhaps a junior copywriter who's new and you've been bombarded with a lot of talk about personal brand because you can't miss it, what advice would you give them?
I would concentrate, and I'd put this not just to junior copywriters or people who are new to it or fledgling, all people, everyone who's out there trying to keep a roof over their heads and do a good job. I just remind them to do a good job and to get known for those things. You want people to talk about you, and you want people to talk about things like your work ethic and the fact that they do get results, or they do follow briefs fantastically, they do come up with creative concepts. In our case, as copywriters, we want to be known for the good work we do. And yes, it would be wonderful if people get to know us well enough where they say, oh, you know what, you can really get on with Andrew. He's a great guy. You can go and have a beer with him, or you just feel like you've known him forever. These are all gorgeous, wonderful things that we're never going to feel awful about people saying about us, but we would like to think that they'll say things about our professional standing as well, and our level of work and how good we are at it. And to add to all of that as well, I think we do need to focus on what people say about us rather than what we're saying about ourselves. And it's like, we always talk about, oh, my personal brand. Well, I don't, and I know you don't, but you get the point. My personal brand. No, no, no. Let's focus on what other people say about you. And that's why, and I know you'll be the same, I'm big on testimonials. I want to put my testimonials and my reviews out there in the world so that people can say, no, this person has parted with cash and got something in return. Let's see what the real reviews are about this person. So screw what we're saying about ourselves. We all polish, we all lie, we all just, inflate our sense of self. So let's just stop with that and let our results and our reviews and our customers do the talking for us, because it is so much more powerful, in my opinion.
And some things really do need to be said by other people, not by yourself. You reminded me of, and I'll use the example that you gave of the customer service that you mentioned earlier. Of, I feel like I'd said this to a client not too long ago, like sometime in the last couple of weeks, of asking them instead of like, oh, what makes you stand out? It says like, well, we have a really great customer service record, and they're being like, great, but that can't be the thing that you said. That only really has power, especially because all of your competitors might very well be able to say the same thing. You might all have great customer service. But what is meaningful isn't the fact that you have great customer service. It's the fact that your customers like you enough to actually say in their own words what that is like about you. That has power in a way that saying we have great customer service does not.
Absolutely. It does your marketing for you, doesn't it, Andrew? It's out there, it's being said whether you hear it or not. And it can only come from them. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are the customer. So
Yeah.
they are the ones who get to have that say.
Yeah. And otherwise, because it's otherwise really easy to fabricate, especially with lots of tools out there that are really good at imitating and copying things.
Yes.
That at this point, I feel like that trust is also probably at like an all-time low, especially in just like marketing generally, because there's so much fluff and it's all tends to look and sound the same after a while, to the point where it doesn't actually mean anything anymore. And there's a rapidly shrinking area of ways of getting a message across where the customer can feel like, you know what, this is actually probably legit. They just didn't say this because it wasn't what 10 of their competitors also said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Just like your your vision and mission statements, which all end up looking exactly the same.
They
Yeah.
are people just, it's laziness, isn't it? It's laziness. Oh, we'll just pick a statement that sounds great and we'll go with that. And it's like when people say, oh, we are honest and we are transparent. And I'm thinking, well, straight away, I'm thinking you're not now, because why bring it up? Those
Yeah.
things should just be implied.
Yeah.
They really should.
It's the equivalent of saying you can trust me.
Yeah.
And realizing that, like, as soon as you frame it like that, I feel like a lot more people sort of recognize the disingenuousness of it.
Exactly. I wouldn't lie to you. Well, why have you said that then? No, all I can think of now is the distrust between
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
There's a word, I feel like there's a word or a phrase that describes that, of the minute that you say something. It's sort of, somebody wrote a book about it. It was like, don't think about the elephant,
Oh, yeah.
or something like that. And I'm trying to remember where it came from. But anyway, I feel like that's the idea. It's like the moment that you bring up any questions of trust, that now becomes the thing that the listener is stressing about.
Absolutely. And please, when you remember what that word is or what that book is, please will you let me know, because that's going to annoy me now. I need to know what it is. And
Yeah.
speaking of fluff, I'm inhaling more of it again. I hope you don't have to edit this too much.
That's all right. I will put the disclaimer, second half definitely brought to you and sponsored by Barry
Yeah.
and Barry's Fur. So, oh, he's so heckin' adorable though.
He is.
Right. So in terms of finding that line, because I feel like at the same time, there's things that you want to focus on and things that you want to do to try and get yourself known.
Mm.
Where would you start, especially if you kind of realize that, like, either people, you're getting known for things that you don't want to get known for, either because you've changed or because of something or other, or just, I feel like this is the more relatable thing for so many businesses. People don't talk about you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you were working through someone to try and, like, where do you start?
I think I would concentrate, again, it probably matches a little with what I said earlier, but concentrate on the doing rather than the saying. Why are we wasting our time promoting ourselves when we could just be doing a good job, and we could just be getting on with work and quietly getting customers and getting projects under our belts, in the hope that they will then, as we've said, go out and say things about us. And even if they're not shouting it from rooftops, they might just say it over a WhatsApp, but we can take that from that WhatsApp and credit them and say, well, I worked with Andrew at the weekend and he said, wow, absolutely amazing. You've changed my life. So we can attribute that. But I think we're in too much of a world now where definitely, influencers or big hitters, predominantly on social media and LinkedIn in particular, they're so keen to say that you should shout about yourself and, be authentic, which is another word I can't stand. That's lost all meaning now. And again, if you have to tell me that you're being authentic, straight away, I think you're lying to me or there's something underhand. Nobody should have to use that word. So I think someone is out there, though, saying you have to do this and talk about, yourself. And I think no, because what did people do before social media? They just got on with the job at hand. And I know that social media can help us and gives us other ways to do things and other routes to success. And it can make a lot of things easier, but it doesn't mean we should be taking our foot off the gas, so that people know who we are, but not have a clue what we do. And an example is, did you ever watch The Apprentice?
I would have probably been in Canada when that first started airing, so I probably would have watched the American version of it,
Okay.
not the UK one, because I understand that one was a little bit different.
It used to be. I don't watch it anymore. It used to be quite good, but there were some people on it who you remember more than others. And I tell you now, you do remember them, but it wasn't because they were the most successful or they were the best in business, which was at one point the point of the entire show, where Alan Sugar found his business partner or his next employee, or his apprentice, as it was, of course, hence the name of the show. But there was one guy on it And I apologise again that I'm going to take us for a third time back to death, Andrew.
Okay. All right. Carry on.
So yeah, you've learned to just let me roll with it now, haven't you?
Mm.
There was someone on it called Stuart Baggs, and he was in one of the first ever series, I think, so very early on, so maybe about 15 or so years ago it could have been. He's called Stuart Baggs. He died a number of years ago. I don't know how, but he was quite young. And when people were doing, like, talking about him, they were all saying, "Oh yeah, I remember him." And you think, "Oh right, okay." And they remembered him because he gave himself the name The Brand. And he kept saying, "I am Stuart Baggs, the brand." And he kept saying it all the time. And it irritated viewers, it irritated Alan Sugar, and it irritated the other people who were in the process with him. And he kept saying, "I'm the brand, I'm the brand, I'm the brand." And the thing is, everyone did remember him for that. However, not one person could tell you what he actually did for a business.
He's memorable, but not for any reason that's useful.
Exactly. No useful reason at all. So nobody could tell you. I put a gun to their head. They couldn't tell you what he did. I know because I did a quick Google of it when it happened, just so I could go, "Oh, right. Okay." But I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have been able to tell you how successful he was at that job or how good he was. I'd never heard other people say anything about him. And then the parting thing with it was that they went to Alan Sugar when he died. They went to Alan Sugar and said, "Have you got anything to say?" And he said, "Yeah, he'll be missed. He was one of the standout characters on the show." And
Mm.
for me, that said it all. You're a character. You're just some portrayal. You are something that is packaged up, however you choose to do it, and put out there. You're not the real thing, and you're not actually doing something for business. And we certainly don't know what it is if you are. And I don't want any of us to fall into the trap of that. And I don't think your listeners will. I imagine they're all rolling their eyes at personal brand, the same as you and I are. But
Mm.
it's all about, what do we do? Do a good job. Concentrate on what you are doing. And I think that the who will come after, and people will realize you're a hard worker and a decent person, and they'll find things to confirm that bias. If you're a good worker, they'll find reasons to see that you're a good human as well, and they want to be with you, they want to recommend you, they want to shout about you. So yeah, just do a good job. That's what I hope the world will start promoting for people, rather than, "Hey, a personal brand, look at me," because it's terrifying and it's ridiculous.
Jo, if any listeners wanted to get to know you a bit better or find you on the internet, where do they go and look?
So LinkedIn is the best place. Remember the twattish letters after the name.
I'll put those in the show notes.
Put them in the show notes, and please do share them with me as well, Andrew, because I never know what they are. I think there's 8 of them. I know they're in brackets. I think there's an M in there. Something to do with the Chartered Management Institute. God bless them. Yeah, and I am all over my branding, if you will, on my website, agoodwriteup.com. If you want to find me over there, I always lead with the same line. And I always sign off my LinkedIn posts with the same line as well. And that is copywriter hired by people with great taste in copywriters. But I feel I will only ever be able to keep that line for as long as it is true. So I practice what I preach. I do what I do. I concentrate on doing a good job. And I would love it if people came and connected with me over there. Please don't just hit follow, because I don't get to see your stuff then. So I like people to connect with me so I can learn from them. I can hopefully laugh with them, because God knows we need more people putting out some good humor out onto that platform, because I'm laughing on that platform on LinkedIn, but currently it's for all the wrong reasons.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on. And thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, anything to let me know that you enjoyed it. If you try to reach me, I can also be found on LinkedIn at AG Monroe. And if you feel particularly motivated, you can drop me an email at andrew@andrewmonroe.com. See you in the next episode. Bye.